Looking forward to our annual race. Our bread and butter cars are pretty well tended to, so we looked around the stables at what we could gen up to get going and go racing for a test and tune event months prior to the Mopar vs. BrandX Streetcar Showdown. We chose our Dusters and 318s for power. Now we'll go over the details of what we brought to the race, what we planned on bringing to the race, and some of the adversities that we faced going into getting this 318 ready for the Duster to go racing at Jake's. Our original plans to bring some combos to 318 Fest were to bring Tim's Duster with a pretty standard rebuilt 80s model 318 with aluminum intake and a set of headers. And as far as my combination for my Duster, I was going to bring a pretty similar setup with also aluminum intake, a little more cam, and a set of 302 heads that I picked up out of the junkyard. However, they were going to go onto my 66 model 318. That motor had some problem. The bores were a little bigger than I was willing to go with. The crank had to be turned, and one of the ears was broke off on the side where the bell housing bolts opposite of the starter. A hand-me-down converter out of my Super B. It's a 3500 Hughes. I moved on to a 70 model 318 that came actually out of my brother's 70 Satellite from when we were kids. It had been rebuilt previously. It needed a set of higher compression pistons to run good. It did have a set of floating wrist pins, and I went ahead and used all of the top end off of what you guys have known in the CUDA. Had to machine custom length push rods as well as do some clearancing inside of the rocker arms. Lapped in new stainless steel 202-16s and gambled on a set of Mopar Performance red valve springs. Also robbed a 340 of the hydraulic roller cam that I had previously installed. It specs out as a 491-500, 208-214 on a 110 lobe separation. We topped off the recipe with a Edelbrock Performer RPM intake and a 750 Holly, then crossed our fingers and headed to the track. In conjunction with our test and tune for the Mopar vs. BrandX Streetcar Showdown, the big race is coming up October 9th, but we went ahead and had a test and tune in May, and we had a lot of build up for it, and we threw in a challenge called 318 Fest. The premise of it is based around a Chrysler 318 engine. Make it as fast as you can, no rules, with the exception of it had to be a Chrysler 318 block, or 273, or 3.9 V6, and we also wanted to have good BrandX support that are relevant to the 318 as far as like 327s, 305, 302 Fords and that nature of stuff. But we wanted to keep data on the 318s and put it on our website, RowdyMuscleCars.com. And that data was going to be measured in 1/8 mile elapsed times as well as dyno numbers, in addition to having the information for each individual's engine specifications, easy to find on our website. Unfortunately, Muletown Dyno's operator Keith had a death in the family and was not able to make it. He made it to town and had to turn around and go right back. So our condolences to him. We look forward to seeing him in October. Despite not having the dyno available, the day was still not a loss. We were able to have our 40-mile drive through the forest and return right back to Jake's for a day of 1/8 mile drag racing. I was unaware that it drove.
Yeah, I didn't either until we made it here.
I'm impressed, actually.
Me too. Operations that I don't really care for.
Dylan McCool brought out his freshly plucked from the field Cobra 2. The car ended up running a 1086. Though not too shabby, the car is obviously in need of some upgrades. So in addition to the ones he's making, we went ahead and sent him a set of roller rockers we had sitting on the shelf. Participation was not limited to 318s. There was Gen 3 Hemis, Pontiac 455s, big blocks of all kinds, small blocks of all kinds. Just a large crowd of old 10 getting exercised on the 8th. We had travelers, both young and old, coming from as far as Pennsylvania this go around. So we look forward to seeing even more out-of-towners coming up in the fall, as well as our local support that we always have for the Mopar versus BrandX Streetcar Showdown. And without further ado, enjoy for a moment the sights and sounds of our most recent Ratty Muscle Cars event. Tony of UTG Garage was down in his project Bottle Rocket. Unfortunately, it suffered some suspension trouble and wasn't able to make a full pass.
We'll see, man.
The 318s were running all across the spectrum, with the fastest being a 783, and that came from Andrew Pollock in his 1990 Dodge pickup truck. With the test and tune behind us, we look forward to the Mopar versus BrandX Streetcar Showdown happening again at Jake's Drag Strip, October 9th. And we would like to officially challenge you to bring your hot rods out to run against our in-house Ratty Muscle Cars. For more information on the race and the rules and regulations, as well as see an example of the tech card, cruise on over to rattymusclecars.com. Thanks for watching the video, and we look forward to seeing you guys October 9th, the Mopar versus BrandX Streetcar Showdown.